A single dad found a dying policewoman behind a hospital dumpster at 4 in the morning. And what happened next shocked the entire police force. The ceremonial hall is dead silent. 300 people. Officers in dress blues, city officials, press cameras, all frozen. The man who just walked through those doors shouldn't be here. He's wearing jeans and a worn jacket. His 8-year-old daughter grips his hand so tight her knuckles are white. On stage, a sergeant in full uniform has gone pale. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. The man in the center aisle keeps walking. Army dress blues. Command Sergeant Major rank insignia catching the stage lights. He doesn't look at the crowd. He's looking at one person, the janitor, standing in the back row with his daughter. The man they've been calling a criminal for 5 days. The man a police sergeant publicly accused of attempted murder in a hospital lobby 72 hours ago. The sergeant major reaches the podium. Raff takes the microphone from the officer on crutches, the woman whose life the janitor saved. "I'm here," he says, voice cutting through the silence like a blade, "to talk about the man you accused of murder." Every camera swings to the back of the room, to the janitor. To his daughter, tears already streaming down her face. The sergeant major doesn't blink. Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb saved 143 lives in combat. A captain in the third row stands, salutes. Then another officer. Then another. The janitor hasn't moved, but his hands, calloused, steady. The hands of a man who mops floors for minimum wage. Those hands aren't shaking. They should be, because this moment is about to rewrite everything this department thought they knew about heroism, about judgment, about the invisible man who's been walking among them for 4 years. If you believe the people we overlook are sometimes the ones who matter most, stay with this story, because what happens in the next 60 minutes will restore your faith in quiet strength. Before we begin, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments, have you ever been underestimated because of your job? Now let me take you back to the man behind the mop, to the promise he made to his dying wife, and to the rainy Tuesday morning when a single decision shattered the careful, invisible life he'd built. Marcus Webb's life was built on repetition. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 5 nights a week, he pushed a yellow mop cart through the corridors of Seattle General Hospital. The floors were linoleum. The lights were fluorescent. The hallways smelled like disinfectant and old coffee. He wore navy blue scrubs with his name tag clipped to the pocket. Most of the nurses didn't know his name. The doctors never looked at him twice. He was invisible. He'd worked hard to be invisible. His route never changed. 3rd floor first. Empty the trash cans in the waiting room. Mop the hallway outside the ICU. Wipe down the vending machines. 4th floor next. Same thing. By 3 a.m., the hospital was quiet except for the beeping monitors and the soft voices of the night shift. Marcus moved through it all like a ghost. Headphones in, eyes down, hands working. He clocked out at 7. At 6:15 every morning, he took the bus to his sister Karen's apartment across town. She lived in a small one-bedroom on the 4th floor of a building that always smelled like fried onions. Lily was usually still asleep on the couch when he arrived. Karen would hand him a cup of coffee and ask how his shift went. He always said the same thing. Fine. Quiet. Then he'd scoop Lily up. She was 8 years old, small for her age, with dark, curly hair that tangled when she slept. She'd wake up halfway to the car and mumble something about being tired. He'd tell her she could sleep more when they got home. Home was a 2-bedroom walk-up above the Golden Coin Laundromat on Rainier Avenue. The stairs creaked. The walls were thin. The windows rattled when the bus went by. But it was theirs. Lily had her own room. Marcus had painted it yellow because she said yellow was a happy color. Every morning he made her breakfast. Pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. Eggs with toast cut into triangles. Orange juice in the plastic cup with the cartoon whale on it. She'd sit at the kitchen table in her pajamas and tell him about her dreams. Last week she dreamed about a volcano made of candy. Yesterday she dreamed she could fly, but only 3 feet off the ground. Marcus listened to every word. After breakfast, she did her homework at the table while he cleaned up. Math worksheets, spelling lists. She'd ask him for help sometimes, and he'd sit next to her, guiding her through the problems. He never told her he understood the math better than she knew. He just helped her find the answers herself. By 9 a.m., she was off to school. Karen picked her up. Marcus went to bed. He slept in the small bedroom at the back of the apartment. The bed was a twin. The dresser was second-hand. On the nightstand was a single framed photo. Sarah, his wife. Dark eyes, bright smile. Taken 6 years ago at the park near their old place. She'd been gone for 4 years. Brain aneurysm. No warning. One moment she was laughing at something Lily said. The next moment she was on the floor and Marcus was calling 911 and Lily was screaming and nothing he did made any difference. He touched the frame every day before he went to sleep. Every afternoon at 3, he picked Lily up from school. They'd go to the park if the weather was good. She liked the swings. He'd push her, and she'd laugh and say higher, "Daddy, higher." Sometimes they'd sit on the bench, and she'd show him whatever she'd made in art class. A drawing, a clay sculpture, a collard made from popsicle sticks. He kept everything she made. At home, she'd work on her science kits. Last month, it was a model of the solar system. This week, it was a homemade volcano. She mixed baking soda and vinegar in a plastic bottle and watched it foam over the sides. She asked him why it did that. He explained the chemical reaction in simple terms. She asked 3 more questions. He answered all of them. One evening, while they were washing dishes together, she asked him a question he wasn't ready for. "Why do you work at night?" He handed her a plate to dry. "So I can see you during the day." She thought about that. "Don't you get lonely?" He looked at her. 8 years old. Gap-toothed smile. Curious eyes that reminded him so much of Sarah it hurt. "I have you," he said. She smiled and went back to drying dishes. At 7 p.m., he made her dinner. Spaghetti, grilled cheese, chicken nuggets shaped like stars. After dinner, they'd watch a movie or read together on the couch. She liked books about animals. He read them in different voices, and she'd giggle and tell him he sounded silly. By 8:30, she was in bed. He tucked her in every night, pulled the blanket up to her chin, turned on the small nightlight shaped like a moon. "Love you, Daddy." "Love you too, sweetheart." He'd kiss her forehead and leave the door cracked just the way she liked it. On Tuesday night, he stood in her doorway a little longer than usual. She was already asleep. Her breathing was soft and steady. One arm was wrapped around the stuffed elephant she'd had since she was 2. He watched her breathe. Safe. Peaceful. His entire world in a twin bed with a yellow blanket. He'd promised Sarah he'd keep her safe. He'd promised he'd give her a quiet life. A normal life. A life without the chaos and the violence and the things he used to do in places most people would never see. He'd kept that promise for 4 years. Marcus checked his watch. 10:45. Time to go. He closed Lily's door to a crack, grabbed his keys, put on his jacket. The night shift was waiting. The rain started at 3:30. By 4 a.m. it was coming down steady. Marcus pushed his cart through the back hallway toward the loading dock, trash bags piled on top. His shift was almost over. One more round. Then the bus, then home to Lily. The loading dock was poorly lit. 2 overhead lights, both yellow and dim. The delivery area was empty except for 3 industrial dumpsters pushed against the brick wall. Rain drummed on the metal lids. Marcus hoisted the first bag, tossed it in, reached for the second. That's when he heard it. A wet, rattling sound, like breathing through water. He stopped, listened. There it was again, behind the middle dumpster. Marcus moved around the container, his eyes adjusted to the dark. A shape, crumpled against the wall. His brain registered it as human half a second before his heart did. A woman. Uniform? Police officer. Face down in a spreading pool of dark liquid that wasn't rainwater. Marcus dropped to his knees. Officer Rachel Kincaid. 29 years old. Her nameplate caught the yellow light. She was barely conscious. Her radio was smashed beside her. Her service weapon lay 3 feet away in a puddle. Blood. So much blood. Gunshot wound to the upper left chest. The fabric around it was soaked. Air bubbled through the hole with each shallow breath. Sucking chest wound. Tourniquet on her left thigh. Applied wrong. Too loose. Placed too high. It was killing her faster than the bullet. Marcus didn't think. His hands moved. He assessed in 3 seconds. Airway open. Breathing compromised. Circulation failing. The tourniquet was choking off blood flow to her femoral artery, but not stopping the bleed from the wound itself. He yanked his belt off, repositioned the first tourniquet lower, tighter. Used his belt as a secondary hold. His hands worked with absolute precision. The chest wound next. He grabbed a plastic garbage bag from his cart, tore it open, pressed it against the sucking wound, sealed 3 sides with medical tape from the first aid kit he kept in the bottom tray. Left one side open so air could escape but not enter. Direct pressure. Both hands, leaning his weight into it. "Stay with me, officer." His voice was calm, unnaturally calm, the voice of someone who'd done this before in worse places. "Stay in the fight." He checked her pupils with the pen light from his pocket. Reactive, but sluggish. Checked her pulse. Thready. Too fast. Checked her breathing. 6 breaths per minute. Not enough. She tried to speak. Her lips moved. "Don't talk," Marcus said. "I've got you." He kept pressure on the chest wound, kept talking, kept her tethered to consciousness with his voice. "You're doing great. Help's coming. Stay with me." Her eyes found his, barely focused. But there. He didn't know how long he knelt there. Time compressed. Seconds felt like minutes. Minutes felt like seconds. The ER door slammed open. A nurse had seen him through the window. She'd called a code. The trauma team stormed out. 4 of them. A doctor, 2 nurses, a tech with a gurney. Marcus stepped back, hands up, giving them space. They surrounded her, checked vitals, barked orders, lifted her onto the gurney. The lead doctor glanced at Marcus. Mid-40s, scrubs soaked from the rain. "Who are you?" "Just maintenance," Marcus said. "You do this?" The doctor gestured at the tourniquets, the chest seal. Marcus nodded. The doctor stared at him for 2 seconds, then turned back to the gurney. "Get her inside. Now." They wheeled her through the doors. The doctor followed. The doors swung shut. Marcus stood alone in the rain. His cart was still there. Trash bags still piled on top, like nothing had happened. He looked down at his hands. They were covered in blood. Dark. Wet. Already thinning in the rain. He walked to the employee entrance, washed his hands in the utility sink, scrubbed until the water ran clear, changed his scrubs, threw the bloody ones in the biohazard bin. He clocked out at 4:17. The rain was heavier now, cold. the kind that soaked through jackets. Marcus walked to the bus stop 3 blocks away, sat on the bench under the shelter, put his head in his hands. His hands were shaking. They hadn't shaken while he worked on her. They never shook during. Only after. The 47 bus pulled up at 4:32. He got on, sat in the back, stared out the window at the dark streets. He'd made a promise to Sarah. Keep Lily safe. Keep her close. Keep the chaos locked away. He'd kept that promise for 4 years. Tonight, he'd broken it. Because the moment someone asked questions, the moment they started digging into who he was and how he knew what to do, the old life would come looking. And once it found him, there'd be no going back. The story broke Wednesday morning. Marcus woke at noon to his phone buzzing. 3 missed calls from Karen. 2 texts from a number he didn't recognize. He ignored them and went to make coffee. The TV was on when he walked into the kitchen. Lily must have turned it on before school. He reached for the remote to shut it off. Then he saw the headline, "Mystery Hospital Worker Saves Officer's Life." His hand froze. The screen showed Seattle General, yellow police tape, reporters standing outside the ER. The chyron scrolled across the bottom. Decorated officer in critical condition after ambush. Unknown employee performs life-saving measures. Marcus turned it off. His coffee sat untouched on the counter. By noon, the surveillance footage was everywhere. It had been captured by the loading dock security camera. Grainy, dark, shot from a bad angle, but clear enough to see a figure in scrubs kneeling beside a body, hands moving with purpose, never stopping. The hospital CEO held a press conference at 2 p.m. Marcus watched it on his phone while sitting on the edge of his bed. The CEO praised the mystery worker, called him a hero, said the hospital was reviewing employee records to identify him. Marcus turned the phone off. At Seattle General, the security chief pulled the footage for the 4th time. He studied the silhouette, the gait, the build. Something about the way the man moved, economy of motion, no wasted energy. He narrowed the search to the night maintenance crew, 11 people. 10 of them accounted for during the incident. 1 wasn't. In the ICU, Officer Rachel Kincaid gave her first interview from her hospital bed. Tubes still in her arms, bandages across her chest. Detective Mike Chen stood in the corner, watching. The reporter asked her to describe what happened. Kincaid's voice was weak but clear. She remembered dragging herself to the hospital, remembered collapsing, remembered thinking she was going to die. Then she remembered the voice. "He moved like military," she said. "His hands never shook. Not once. And he kept talking to me. Told me to stay in the fight." The reporter leaned in. "Did he identify himself?" "No. He left before I could thank him." "Can you describe him?" Kincaid closed her eyes. Older, maybe 40s, calm. So calm it was almost scary, like he'd done this 100 times before. The footage went viral by Wednesday evening. Online forums lit up, true crime communities, local news sites, people analyzing every frame. Someone noticed the way the figure positioned his hands, the angle of his body, the controlled movements. A user named USMC_vet_72 posted at 11 p.m. "That's not random first aid, that's combat medicine." Another user replied, "How can you tell? USMC_vet_72. Tourniquet placement. Chest seal technique. The way he checks vitals. I've seen it. That's military training." The thread exploded. At Seattle PD headquarters, Sergeant Owen Driscoll sat in the break room watching the news coverage for the 3rd time. 23 years on the force. 2 citations for excessive force. A failed lieutenant's exam he'd taken twice. He'd never gotten this kind of media attention. Never been called a hero. Never had reporters asking for his name. And now some janitor was all over the news for doing what? Stopping bleeding? That's what paramedics were for. Driscoll made a call, inserted himself into the investigation, told the detective assigned to Kincaid's shooting that there were protocol concerns, civilians interfering with crime scenes, chain of custody issues. The shooter was still at large. Every detail mattered. Detective Chen listened, but didn't argue. Driscoll outranked him. By Thursday morning, the media had a new angle. Angel of the ER mystery hero. Every station ran with it. Kincaid's partner gave an interview thanking the unknown worker. The mayor issued a statement praising everyday heroes. Marcus watched none of it. He made Lily breakfast. Dinosaur pancakes, orange juice. She sat across from him, swinging her feet, talking about her science project. The TV was off. His phone was in the other room, but Lily had questions. "Is that your hospital?" she asked between bites. "The one on the news?" Marcus poured more syrup on her plate. "Yeah." "Did you see what happened?" He kept his eyes on the pancakes. "Something like that." "Was the police lady okay?" "She survived." Lily tilted her head. Watching him the way she did, when she knew he wasn't telling her everything. "You're nervous," she said. Marcus looked up. "I'm fine, sweetheart." "You keep checking your phone." "I'm not checking my phone." "You did. 3 times since I sat down." She was right. He had. Marcus cleared the plates, changed the subject, asked about her math homework. Lily let it go, but she kept watching him with those dark eyes that looked too much like Sarah's. Thursday afternoon, the security chief at Seattle General made the identification. Marcus Webb, night custodian. Hired 4 years ago. Clean record. Quiet. Never caused problems. Never called in sick. The chief pulled his employee file. No formal medical training listed. Previous employment, construction, landscaping, delivery driver. Nothing that explained what he'd done Tuesday morning. Detective Chen wanted to thank Marcus officially. Shake his hand. Maybe arrange a meeting with Kincaid when she was stronger. Sergeant Driscoll wanted something else. Thursday at 6 p.m. Chen and Driscoll walked into the hospital administration office. The security chief was waiting. He had Marcus's shift schedule pulled up on his computer. "When does he work next?" Driscoll asked. "Friday, 11 p.m. Driscoll shook his head. "I'm not waiting until Friday." "He's off tomorrow until his shift." "Does he have a home address?" The chief hesitated. "We can't just give that out." Driscoll leaned forward. His badge caught the light. "A police officer was shot. The man who found her left the scene without identifying himself. I need to speak with him. Now." The chief printed the address. Driscoll looked at it. Rainier Avenue. Above a laundromat. He folded the paper, slid it into his pocket. "I'll handle this personally," he said. Marcus walked through the main doors of Seattle General at 8:15 Friday morning with a bakery box under his arm and Lily's hand in his. It was his day off. He'd forgotten his ID badge in his locker Thursday night. Lily had asked to come. She wanted to bring cookies to the break room staff who were nice to her dad. The lobby was packed. Shift change. Doctors in scrubs heading home. Nurses coming in. Families in the waiting area. Security guards. Admin staff behind the desk. Marcus stopped at the front to sign in. "Marcus Webb?" The voice was loud, carried across the whole lobby. Marcus turned. A man in a Seattle PD uniform stood 10 feet away. Mid-40s. Stocky build. graying beard. Two younger officers flanked him. All three had their hands on their belts. The man stepped forward. "I'm Sergeant Owen Driscoll, Seattle Police Department. We need to ask you some questions about the incident Tuesday night." Conversation stopped. People turned to look. Marcus set the bakery box on the bench beside him. "Okay. You were the one who found Officer Kincaid. Is that correct?" "Yes." "And you performed medical treatment on her?" "I did what I could until the doctors arrived." Driscoll didn't move toward a private area. He stayed right where he was, in the middle of the lobby, with 70 people watching. "Why were you outside at 4 in the morning?" "Taking out trash. It's part of my job." "And you just happened to find her?" "Yes. Behind the dumpster. In the dark." Marcus didn't answer. The statement didn't need one. Driscoll shifted his weight. His voice got louder. "Let me ask you something, Mr. Webb. Where'd you learn to do what you did Tuesday night?" "I don't have formal medical training." "But you performed combat-level trauma care, tourniquet repositioning, chest seal. You knew exactly what to do." Driscoll paused. "So, where'd you learn that?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I've seen some things." "Seen some things," Driscoll repeated. He looked at the crowd, back at Marcus. "You left the scene. Didn't identify yourself. Didn't stick around to answer questions. Why is that?" "I had to get to work." "You were at work." "I had other floors to finish." Driscoll took another step forward, close enough now that Marcus could smell coffee on his breath. "Let me tell you what I think, Mr. Webb. I think it's pretty convenient that you just happen to have those skills, just happen to be in that exact spot at that exact time, just happened to be there when a police officer was shot." A woman in the waiting area whispered something to her husband. Marcus said nothing. "The shooter is still at large," Driscoll continued. "We're investigating everyone who had contact with the crime scene. And you, Mr. Webb, you left before anyone could get your name, before anyone could verify your story. I helped her. Or maybe you were there for another reason. Maybe you followed her from the shooting. Maybe your rescue was really about covering tracks, finishing a job you started but lost your nerve for." Someone gasped. Marcus's hands curled into fists at his sides, then uncurled. He made himself breathe. "Where were you between midnight and 4 a.m. Tuesday night?" Driscoll asked. "Working." "Anyone with you?" "No. I work alone." "Alone? No witnesses?" Driscoll turned to the security guard near the desk. "Can you escort Mr. Webb out of the building, please? We'll be in touch." The guard hesitated, looked at Marcus, back at Driscoll. "Now," Driscoll said. The guard stepped forward. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to come with me." Marcus picked up the bakery box, reached for Lily's hand. She was crying, silent tears down both cheeks. Her fingers were cold when he took them. They walked toward the exit. Every eye in the lobby followed them. A doctor Marcus recognized from third floor looked away when their eyes met. Outside, the morning air was cool. Traffic hummed past on the street. Marcus and Lily walked to the bus stop without speaking. The 47 came at 8:40. They sat in the back. Lily pressed against the window. Her reflection showed tear tracks on her face. 2 stops passed before she spoke. "Why were they mean to you?" Marcus stared at his hands, the same hands that had saved Officer Kincaid's life 4 days ago. "I don't know, sweetheart." "But you helped her. You saved her." "I know." "So why did they treat you like that?" He had no answer for her. Not one that would make sense. Not one that wouldn't scare her. The bus rumbled through downtown, past office buildings and coffee shops and people heading to work who hadn't just been accused of attempted murder in front of 70 witnesses. They got off at Rainier, walked the 2 blocks to their building, up the creaking stairs, through the door that stuck when it rained. Marcus set the bakery box on the kitchen counter. The cookies inside were supposed to be a thank you. Now they felt like something else. Evidence of how wrong he'd been to think he could do the right thing and walk away clean. Lily stood in the doorway, small, 8 years old, looking at her father with questions in her eyes that he didn't want to answer. "Why didn't you tell them you helped her?" Marcus pulled out a chair, sat down. "It's complicated, sweetheart. You didn't do anything wrong." He looked at her, at Sarah's dark curls and Sarah's gap-toothed smile, and Sarah's way of seeing straight through to the truth. Lily was right. He hadn't done anything wrong. But the sergeant's words were already out there, already spreading, already poison. And Marcus didn't respond, because the truth was more complicated than an 8-year-old should have to understand. Friday afternoon, Detective Mike Chen sat beside Officer Rachel Kincaid's hospital bed and told her what Sergeant Driscoll had done. Kincaid's face went white. She tried to sit up, winced, fell back against the pillows. He what? Public confrontation. Hospital lobby. Called him a suspect. Marcus Webb saved my life. I know. He's not a suspect. He's a hero. Chen nodded. You should make a statement. Official. On record. Kincaid reached for the call button. Her hand shook. The pain medication was heavy in her system. Her words came slow. Get me someone from public affairs. Now. But the statement never made it out. Chief Morrison's office requested it be held pending the investigation. Kincaid was sedated. Her account got filed, got buried, got lost in the machinery. By Friday evening, Driscoll was holding court in the department break room. 6 officers. Coffee. The news playing on mute in the corner. I'm not saying he's guilty, Driscoll said. I'm saying we have protocol for a reason. Civilians don't get to interfere with active crime scenes. They don't get to leave without identifying themselves. A younger officer shifted in his chair. But he saved her life. Did he? Or did he just happen to be there at the right time with the right skills? Driscoll leaned forward. If a janitor can do trauma care that half this department couldn't, what does that say about our training? What does that say about us? The room went quiet. Driscoll had hit the nerve he was looking for. Insecurity. Pride. The optics were bad and everyone knew it. Chief Morrison stayed neutral. Pending investigation. No public comment. Wait and see. The phone call came to Marcus's apartment at 3 p.m. Saturday. Hospital HR female voice. Apologetic, but firm. Mr. Webb, due to the ongoing police inquiry, we're placing you on administrative leave pending resolution. Marcus stood in his kitchen. Lily was at the park with Karen. Am I being charged with something? No charges have been filed. But given the circumstances, we feel it's best to... How long? We don't have a timeline yet. Marcus thanked her, hung up, sat down at the kitchen table. No charges, just a stain. Just the word of a sergeant who wanted someone to blame. He called Karen, told her he'd pick Lily up himself. Needed the walk. Monday morning at Maplewood Elementary, Mrs. Patterson stood at her classroom door watching students arrive. Lily Webb came in third. Backpack too big for her shoulders. Gap-toothed smile. Good morning, Lily. Morning, Mrs. Patterson. Lily went to her desk. Second row, window side. At 8:20, another mother appeared in the doorway. Mrs. Chen. No relation to the detective. PTA treasurer. Always concerned about something. Mrs. Patterson. Could I speak with you a moment? They stepped into the hallway. Mrs. Chen kept her voice low. I saw the news about Lily's father. The police investigation. There's no investigation of Mr. Webb specifically. But that sergeant said... I'm aware what the sergeant said. Well, I'd prefer if Emma's desk was moved, away from Lily's, just until this is cleared up. Mrs. Patterson's jaw tightened. Lily hasn't done anything wrong. I didn't say she had, but as a parent, I have the right to... I'll see what I can do. She moved Emma's desk before first period. 2 rows over. Lily noticed, said nothing, but her eyes found her father when he picked her up that afternoon, and Mrs. Patterson saw the question there that an 8-year-old shouldn't have to ask. While Lily sat in class, the internet was working. True Crime Seattle Forum. Wednesday afternoon. Thread titled, Mystery Hospital Hero. What really happened? User Green Lake Mom posted the surveillance footage. Someone else posted a still frame. Enhanced, zoomed. User USMC_vet_72 replied at 2:47 p.m. That posture. Economy of movement. That's not civilian first aid. That's combat medicine. Another user. How can you tell? USMC_vet_72. 22 years Marine Corps. I know how trained people move. This guy's military. By Friday evening, USMC_vet_72 had run Marcus's name through public records. Found a hit in the Department of Defense database. Limited information. But enough. Marcus Webb, 75th Ranger Regiment. Medic. Multiple deployments. Honorable discharge 2019. The thread exploded. Someone found a photo. Took 12 hours. But they found it. Marcus in desert fatigues. Younger, leaner, harder around the eyes. Standing with 4 other men in full combat gear. Dust and sun, and the kind of exhaustion that comes from places most people only see on news. The photo had been posted years ago on a military appreciation site. Tagged with a unit number. No names. But now they had a name. By Sunday, the thread had 2,000 replies. Monday morning, a journalist from the Seattle Times picked it up. Monday Evening News. Mystery Hero's Secret Past. The anchor read from a script. New information has emerged about the hospital custodian who saved Officer Rachel Kincaid's life last week. According to military records, Marcus Webb served with the 75th Ranger Regiment as a combat medic, completing multiple deployments before his discharge in 2019. Cut to the photo. Marcus in fatigues. The caption, Decorated combat veteran now works night shift. Cut back to the anchor. We reached out to Mr. Webb for comment, but received no response. The question many are asking, why would a decorated combat medic be working as a hospital janitor? Marcus watched the coverage from his apartment. Lily asleep in the next room. His phone off. The question wasn't why he was working as a janitor. The question was, how long before they dug deeper? Before they found the rest? Before someone connected all the dots, and the old life came back in full. At Seattle PD headquarters, Sergeant Driscoll watched the same broadcast from the break room. Decorated veteran, combat medic, Silver Star. He should have backed off, should have issued a retraction, should have admitted he was wrong. Instead, he made a call. Tuesday morning, a local news station got an exclusive interview. Sergeant Owen Driscoll, on camera, in uniform. The reporter asked if the new information changed his concerns. Driscoll leaned forward, clasped his hands, spoke slowly, like he was explaining something complicated to someone who didn't understand. Look, I have the utmost respect for our veterans, but we also have to be realistic. PTSD is real. Combat trauma is real. These men and women come back changed. And sometimes that change makes them unpredictable. Are you saying Mr. Webb is dangerous? I'm saying we have a responsibility, especially when there's a child involved. Driscoll paused. Let it land. Someone should check on the home environment. Make sure everything's stable. The interview aired at noon. By 1 p.m., someone had filed a complaint with Child Protective Services. The knock came at 2 p.m. Wednesday. Marcus was washing dishes. Lily was at school. He dried his hands and opened the door. A woman in her 30s stood in the hallway. Professional clothes, tired eyes, a folder under her arm. Mr. Webb? I'm Jennifer Watts, Child Protective Services. Marcus's breath stopped, then started again, slower. What's this about? Someone filed a complaint. May I come in? Marcus stepped aside. Let her enter. His apartment felt smaller with a stranger in it. The walls closer, the ceiling lower. Watts looked around. Clean kitchen, living room with a worn couch. Lily's science projects spread across the table. Photos on every surface. Marcus and Lily at the park. Sarah holding newborn Lily in the hospital. Lily's school pictures from every year. Mr. Webb, I need to be clear. I'm required to follow up on complaints about potential instability in the home. The complaint cited concerns about PTSD and your violent background. Marcus leaned against the kitchen counter. I don't have a violent background. You served in combat. That's not the same thing. I understand. Watts opened her folder. I need to speak with your daughter. Alone. Is she here? She's at school. Gets home at 3:30. Watts checked her watch. I can wait. They sat in silence. Watts reviewed paperwork. Marcus stared at the wall. The refrigerator hummed. A bus passed outside. At 3:40, Marcus heard footsteps on the stairs. The door opened. Lily came in, backpack bouncing. Hi, Dad. I made a... Oh. She stopped. Looked at the stranger. Lily, this is Ms. Watts. She needs to talk to you for a minute. About what? Just some questions. It's okay. Watts smiled. Gentle. Professional. Is there somewhere we can talk privately? Marcus pointed to Lily's bedroom. Through there. Lily looked at her father. He nodded. She went. Watts followed, closed the door. Marcus sat on the couch, listened to the muffled voices through the wall. Couldn't make out words, just tones. Watts asking, Lily answering. 15 minutes. The door opened. Lily came out first. Her eyes found Marcus immediately, checking, making sure he was still there. Watts followed. She toured the apartment, checked the smoke detectors, looked in the fridge, opened cabinets, inspected Lily's room. Everything methodical, everything documented. Finally, she closed her folder. Mr. Webb, could I speak with you privately? Marcus glanced at Lily. Go work on your homework, sweetheart. Lily went to the table, pulled out her math worksheet, but Marcus could see her listening. Watts kept her voice low. There's nothing here. Your daughter feels safe. She's well cared for. The apartment is clean and appropriate. The complaint appears retaliatory. Marcus's shoulders dropped an inch. But I still have to file a report. It'll go on record. If another complaint comes in, there won't be another complaint. You can't know that. Watts looked at him. Who did you make angry, Mr. Webb? Marcus didn't answer. Watts left at 4:15. The door clicked shut. The apartment was quiet except for Lily's pencil-scratching paper. Marcus sat down across from her. What did she ask you? If you ever yell. What did you say? No. What else? If you ever hurt me. If I feel safe. If you help with homework. Lily kept her eyes on her math. Does he seem sad sometimes? Marcus's chest tightened. What did you tell her? The truth, that you seem sad sometimes. I'm sorry. Lily looked up. Why are you sorry? You shouldn't have to worry about that. I don't worry. I just notice. She went back to her worksheet. Am I going to have to leave? Marcus reached across the table, took her hand. No, baby. Never. Her fingers were so small in his, like they'd been when she was born, like they'd been when Sarah died, and she was 3, and asked where Mommy went, and Marcus didn't know how to explain that sometimes people just stop being there. Promise? I promise. That night, Karen showed up at 7. She didn't knock, just used her key and came in furious. Did you see it? Marcus was making dinner. Spaghetti, Lily's favorite. See what? The interview. Turn on the news. Marcus wiped his hands, turned on the TV. Local station. Driscoll's face filled the screen. Recorded earlier that day. The reporter's voice. Sergeant Driscoll, you've been vocal about your concerns regarding Marcus Webb. Some are calling it harassment. Driscoll shook his head, looked sincere, concerned. I want to be very clear. I respect veterans, but we have a responsibility, especially when there's a child in the home. We need to ensure children aren't in unstable environments. Karen grabbed the remote, turned it off. He called CPS. You know that, right? I figured. And you're just going to take it? Marcus stirred the pasta, watched the water boil. What else am I supposed to do? Fight back, get a lawyer, go to the press, tell them who you really are. I can't. Why not? If I make noise, they dig deeper. If they dig deeper... What? What are you so afraid of them finding? Karen's voice rose. You saved a woman's life. You're a decorated veteran. You're a good father. What could they possibly find that's worse than what they're already saying? Marcus didn't answer. Because the truth was worse than what they were saying. Not because of what he'd done, but because of what people would see when they looked at him after. Not a janitor. Not a father. Just a soldier. Just the old life. Just the things he'd spent 4 years trying to forget. In the living room, Lily sat on the couch with Karen's phone. Karen had left it on the coffee table. Lily knew the password. Karen always used the same one. Lily's birthday. She opened the browser, typed Marcus Webb Seattle. The results loaded. News articles, forum threads, the surveillance footage, and there, the photo. Her dad. But not her dad. Younger, thinner, wearing camouflage, holding a rifle, standing with other men who looked hard and tired, and nothing like the man who made her dinosaur pancakes. She scrolled, found a thread, True Crime Seattle. People talking about him like they knew him. User USMC_vet_72. Classified record. Multiple deployments. This guy's seen things most people can't imagine. User Green Lake Mom. Someone said Silver Star. Anyone confirm? User Tactical Mike. I'm hearing Distinguished Service Cross, Kandahar 2017. That's second only to Medal of Honor. Lily didn't know what any of that meant, but she knew what classified meant. She knew what Medal of Honor meant from school. She knew her father had secrets bigger than she'd thought. Karen left at 8:30, still angry, still telling Marcus to fight. Marcus closed the door behind her, turned around. Lily was standing in the hallway, phone in her hand. Were you a soldier? Marcus looked at her, at the phone, at the photo she'd found. He sat down on the couch, patted the space beside him. Lily sat, put the phone face down between them. A long time ago, Marcus said. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to be your dad, not that person. Lily picked up the phone, looked at the photo again. Who is that person? Someone I used to be. But you're still you. No, sweetheart. That was someone different. Lily's eyes filled. But you saved that lady. That's what soldiers do. They save people. Marcus didn't know how to explain it. That saving people in a hospital parking lot was different from saving people in places where the sky was the wrong color, and the air smelled like smoke and metal and fear. That the person in that photo knew how to keep 9 men alive through a 12-hour siege, but couldn't keep his wife alive through a 10-minute ambulance ride. That being a soldier and being a dad were two different things, and he'd chosen to be a dad, because that's what Sarah would have wanted. Lily wiped her eyes. You teach me to stand up to bullies. I know. That policeman is a bully. Yes. So why won't you stand up? Marcus pulled her close. She buried her face in his shoulder, crying now, full tears. Because sometimes standing up means losing everything you've built. And I built this life for you. Lily's voice came muffled against his shirt. But you can be both. Marcus stopped breathing. You can be my dad and that person. They're the same. You saved her because you're both. She pulled back, looked at him, 8 years old, dark curls, gap-toothed, Sarah's eyes. You can be both, Daddy. And Marcus realized his daughter understood something he'd spent 4 years refusing to see. The call came Thursday morning at 9:17. Marcus was making breakfast. Eggs, toast. Lily was at the table working on a drawing. Purple mountains, orange sun. His phone rang. Unknown number. Georgia area code. He almost didn't answer. This is Marcus. Staff Sergeant Webb. The voice stopped Marcus cold. Deep, steady, unmistakable. Sergeant Major Briggs. It's been a while? 4 years, since Sarah's funeral, since Marcus had walked away from everything. I saw the news, Briggs said. Kincaid called me. She tracked me down through your old unit designation. Smart woman. She wants to make this right. Marcus turned off the stove, moved to the window. I just want it to go away. It won't. You know that. I didn't ask for this. You never did. Briggs paused. Driscoll's calling you unstable. He's attacking your fitness as a father. You think staying quiet protects Lily? Marcus didn't answer. It's teaching her that doing right gets punished. Through the window, the laundromat across the street was opening. A woman with 2 kids in tow. Normal morning, normal life. There's a ceremony tonight, Briggs said. For Kincaid, downtown precinct. Press will be there. So will Driscoll. I'm flying in. You should be there. I can't. Why not? Because I built a life here. A quiet life. And if I show up, you have the DSC, Marcus. Marcus closed his eyes. The Distinguished Service Cross. Kandahar. 12 hours. 9 men. The worst night of his life. You pulled 9 Rangers through a 12-hour siege, Briggs continued. You rigged IVs from canteen tubes. You performed a thoracotomy with a leather man in the middle of a firefight. You earned the right to stand up. That was a different person. No, that was you. That's still you. And Driscoll's counting on you staying quiet. Marcus's throat tightened. I can't risk losing her. Then show her what standing up looks like. The line went dead. Marcus stood at the window, phone in his hand, breathing shallow. Dad? Lily was behind him, drawing abandoned on the table. Who was that? An old friend. From the army? Marcus nodded. What's DSC? He turned, looked at his daughter. 8 years old, too smart for her own good. You were listening. You were right there. She pointed at the phone. What does it mean? Marcus sat down at the table. Lily climbed into the chair beside him. Distinguished Service Cross. It's a military medal. Second highest honor. You have that? Yes. For what? For keeping people alive when everything went wrong. Lily was quiet, processing. And they're calling you dangerous? Yeah. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, sweetheart. But you teach me to stand up to bullies. Marcus looked at her, at Sarah's dark curls, at the gap-toothed determination in her eyes. When someone's mean to me at school, you say, tell the teacher. Don't let them get away with it. That's different. How? Because you're a kid. I'm an adult. I can handle it. But can I? Lily's voice cracked. Emma won't sit by me anymore. Mrs. Patterson moved her desk. And yesterday, Tyler asked if you were going to jail. Marcus's hands curled into fists on the table. Uncurled. What did you say? I said no, that you helped someone, but he didn't believe me. Tears now, running down her cheeks. Nobody believes me. Marcus pulled her close. She buried her face in his shoulder. I'm sorry, Lily. Then stop being sorry. Be like the man on the phone. Be the person you were. I'm trying to protect you. By letting them call you a criminal. She pulled back, looked at him. You can be both, Daddy. You told me that. Remember? When I didn't want to go to soccer because I was scared? Marcus remembered. Last spring. Lily nervous about joining a team. Not knowing if she'd be good enough. You said being scared doesn't mean you can't do it. You said being brave is doing it anyway. His own words, coming back, cutting deep. You're right, Marcus said. So stop hiding. She said it like it was simple, like the answer had been there all along. Marcus stood, walked to his bedroom, pulled open the bottom drawer of his dresser, pushed aside old T-shirts, found the box. Inside, his dress uniform, pressed, preserved, the medals in a separate case. Silver Star, DSC, Purple Heart, campaign ribbons, things he'd put away when Sarah died. He picked up his phone, dialed. Briggs answered on the first ring. You coming? What time? Ceremony starts at 6:30. Be there at 6:45. I'll handle the rest. Briggs? You made the right call, Marcus. I'm bringing Lily. Good. She should see this. Marcus hung up, returned to the kitchen. Lily was still at the table, watching him. Get dressed, he said. We're going somewhere tonight. Where? To tell the truth. Lily's face lit up. She ran to her room. Marcus heard drawers opening, hangers sliding. He looked at the clock. 9 hours until the ceremony. 9 hours to decide what to say. How to say it. How to walk back into a world he'd spent 4 years running from. But Lily was right. He'd been teaching her to stand up her whole life. Time to show her what that looked like. His phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. But he knew who it was before he opened it. Officer Kincaid. Briggs told me you're coming. Thank you. I'll make sure you get in. Back entrance, 6:45. I owe you my life. Let me give you this. Marcus typed back. See you tonight. He went to his bedroom, laid the uniform on the bed. It still fit. It would have to. Outside, the city moved on. Buses, cars, people going to work, going home, living normal lives. After tonight, Marcus's life wouldn't be normal anymore. But maybe that was okay. Maybe normal had never been the point. Maybe the point was teaching his daughter that when you can help, you help. When you can stand, you stand. Even when it costs everything. Especially then. Marcus and Lily entered through the back door of Seattle Police Headquarters at 6:45 p.m. Officer Kincaid was waiting, still on crutches, bandages visible under her dress uniform collar. You came, she said. We came, Marcus said. Kincaid looked at Lily. You must be proud of your dad. Lily nodded, didn't let go of Marcus's hand. Follow me. They walked through a back hallway. Polished floors, fluorescent lights. Voices echoing from the main hall. Marcus wore his dress uniform, blues, pressed. The medals in his pocket felt heavier than they should. Kincaid stopped at a side door. Briggs is already inside, 3rd row, left side. When he moves, you'll know. What about us? Marcus asked. Back row. Stay there until you're called. She opened the door. The ceremonial hall was full. 300 people. Officers in dress uniforms, city officials, press cameras, stage lights, American flag behind the podium. Police Chief Morrison stood at the microphone. Mid-50s, gray hair, giving opening remarks. Officer Kincaid's bravery during this incident exemplifies the values we uphold. While the investigation into the shooter continues, we gather tonight to honor those who serve with distinction. Marcus and Lily slipped into the back row. No one turned. All eyes on the stage. Sergeant Driscoll sat up front. Left side, chest full of ribbons Marcus didn't recognize. Looking pleased, looking vindicated. Chief Morrison continued. Tonight we also commend Sergeant Driscoll for his leadership during the crisis response that followed Officer Kincaid's injury. Driscoll stood, walked to the stage, shook the chief's hand, posed for photos, smiled for the cameras. Lily's fingers tightened on Marcus's hand. The chief moved to the next part of the program. And now, Officer Rachel Kincaid will say a few words about her recovery. Kincaid made her way to the podium. Slow, careful. The crutches clicked against the floor. She reached the microphone, adjusted it. Then the doors opened. Command Sergeant Major Alan Briggs walked in. Army dress blues, medals across his chest. Ribbons Marcus recognized. Campaign bars from conflicts most people had forgotten. The man walked like he owned every room he entered. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. Briggs walked straight down the center aisle. Didn't look left or right. Just forward. Toward the stage. Chief Morrison stopped mid-sentence. Kincaid saw Briggs. Her face changed. Relief. Recognition. She stepped back from the podium. Yielded the microphone. Briggs climbed the steps. Stood at the mic. Looked out over the room. Then he looked directly at Marcus. I'm here to talk about the man you accused of attempted murder. The chief's mouth opened. Closed. Briggs pointed to the back of the room. To Marcus. Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb, combat medic, 75th Ranger Regiment. 3 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq, 11 years of service. Every camera swung around. Found Marcus. Found Lily. Marcus didn't move, just held his daughter's hand and let the moment happen. Briggs continued. 143 documented combat saves. That's 143 American soldiers who went home to their families because of this man. Someone in the 4th row whispered. Another person shushed them. Silver Star. Helmand Province, 2015. Staff Sergeant Webb retrieved 2 wounded soldiers under enemy fire. Carried them both 300 meters to safety. Kept them alive until medevac arrived. Driscoll shifted in his seat. Looked back. Looked at Marcus. His face went pale. Distinguished Service Cross, Briggs said. Second only to the Medal of Honor. Kandahar, 2017. Convoy ambush. 9 critically wounded Rangers. No medical evac possible for 12 hours. The room was completely still now. Not a sound. Not a breath. Staff Sergeant Webb kept all 9 alive. He rigged IVs from canteen tubes. He performed a field thoracotomy with a Leatherman, and hemostats he sterilized with a lighter. He talked a 19-year-old private, Through dying by telling him about the daughter waiting at home. That private lived. They all lived. Briggs paused. Let it sink in. Marcus Webb left the Army in 2019. His wife had just died. He requested his records be kept quiet. He wanted to be a father, not a hero, not a symbol, just a dad. He looked at Driscoll, straight at him, unflinching. This man has saved more lives than everyone in this room combined, and you accused him of murder. The silence was absolute. Chief Morrison's face had gone white. Mayor Alvarez in the front row stared at her hands. Captain Lawrence stood. Third row. Tall. Gray-haired. He raised his hand to his forehead. Saluted. Then another officer stood. Then another. Then the whole room was standing. Patrol officers, detectives, command staff, the mayor, the families in the back, all saluting a man in the last row wearing a janitor's watch and his daughter's hand in his. Driscoll tried to stand, tried to speak. Chief Morrison cut him off. Sergeant Driscoll, you're suspended, effective immediately, pending internal investigation. Driscoll's jaw worked. No sound came out. Kincaid stepped to the microphone. Marcus Webb saved my life. I'm alive because he didn't wait for permission, because he didn't hesitate, because he's exactly who Sergeant Major Briggs says he is. She looked at the back row. Marcus, would you come forward, please? Marcus stood. Lily stood with him. They walked down the center aisle, every eye on them, every camera tracking their movement. Lily in her yellow dress, Marcus in his blues. The applause started, didn't stop. Kincaid met them at the stage, embraced Marcus, careful of her injuries. Thank you, she whispered. Briggs stepped forward, held a small box, opened it. Inside, the Meritorious Service Medal. You declined this in 2019, Briggs said. The Army decided you earned it anyway, for continued service to the nation as a civilian. He pinned it to Marcus's chest, stepped back, saluted. Marcus returned the salute. Old habits. Muscle memory. Chief Morrison approached, cleared his throat. Mr. Webb, on behalf of the Seattle Police Department, I apologize for the accusations, for the treatment you received, for failing to recognize what you'd done. He paused. We'd like to offer you a position, training coordinator for our new trauma response program, teaching officers what you know, helping them save lives. Marcus looked at Lily. She was crying, smiling, nodding. I accept, Marcus said, but I'll need time to think about the job. The chief nodded. Take all the time you need. The press surged forward. Questions, cameras, microphones. Marcus took Lily's hand, held it tight. They moved toward the side exit. Flashbulbs popped. Voices called his name. But Marcus just kept walking. Lily beside him, head up, not hiding anymore. They stepped through the side door into the cool evening air. The noise of the ceremony faded behind them. Lily looked up at her father. You did it! Marcus looked at his daughter, at her mother's eyes, at the pride shining there. We did it, he said. 6 months later, Marcus stood at the front of a training room in the Seattle PD facility, teaching 20 officers how to save lives. Chest seal goes here, he said. His hands moved with precision over the practice dummy. 3 sides taped. 4th side open. Air escapes, but doesn't enter. The officers watched, took notes, asked questions. Marcus answered each one. Patient, clear, no wasted words. Officer Torres raised his hand. 22, fresh from the academy. Eager. What if you don't have a chest seal? Plastic bag, medical tape, anything non-porous, Marcus demonstrated. Improvise, adapt, keep them breathing. The session ran 2 hours, twice a week. Tuesday and Thursday mornings, practical field medicine, decision-making under pressure, how to keep someone alive when help is 10 minutes away. After class, Torres approached. "Sir, you might save my life someday with this." Marcus packed his training materials. "That's the idea." Lily sat in the back row, notebook open, pen in hand, 9 years old now, taller, still asking questions. She was writing a report for school career day. "How my dad teaches heroes." 3 officers stopped to talk to her, told her about the techniques Marcus taught, how they'd use them in the field, how it worked. Lily wrote everything down. Mrs. Patterson stood by the door. Lily's teacher, waiting. She approached Marcus as the officers filtered out. "Mr. Webb, could I speak with you?" Marcus nodded. "I owe you an apology. For moving Emma's desk, for my assumptions. I was scared, and I let that fear hurt your daughter." She looked at her hands. "I'm ashamed of that." "People were scared," Marcus said. "I understand." "That doesn't make it right." "No, but it makes it human." Mrs. Patterson thanked him, left. Detective Chen came in carrying 2 coffees, handed one to Marcus. "Heard the class went well." "They're learning." "Good. We need it." Chen sat on the edge of a desk. "Driscoll retired last month, quietly. Pension intact, no charges." Marcus sipped his coffee, said nothing. "His career's over, though. That's something." It wasn't victory Marcus wanted, but it was justice, the quiet kind. Officer Kincaid appeared in the doorway, back in uniform, walking with a slight limp. She'd returned to duty 2 months ago. "Brought you something," she said, held up a bag of pastries. "You don't have to keep bringing food." "I know. I want to." She set the bag on the desk. "The shooter was caught. Last month. Your testimony about my wounds helped convict him." "Good. Turns out doing the right thing matters." Marcus looked at her. "It does." Kincaid left. Chen followed. Marcus packed the last of his materials. Lily closed her notebook. "Can we go now?" "Yeah, let's go." They drove across town in Marcus's truck. Old, reliable. The radio played soft. The cemetery was quiet. Green grass, old trees, headstones in neat rows. Sarah's was near the back, simple stone. Her name, her dates, wife, mother. Marcus knelt, placed his hand on the cool granite. "Hey," he said quietly. Lily stood beside him, holding daisies, Sarah's favorite. "I told her," Marcus said, "about the ceremony, about what Lily said, that I could be both." The breeze moved through the trees. "I'm teaching again. Different context, same work, keeping people alive." He paused. "I think you'd like that I'm doing it." Lily placed the daisies against the headstone. "Yellow. Bright." They stayed 5 minutes, then walked back to the truck. On the drive home, Lily asked a question she'd been saving. "Can you teach me to tie a tourniquet?" "Not yet, sweetheart." "When?" "Someday, when you're older." She was quiet a moment. Then, "Why didn't you tell people who you were from the beginning?" Marcus kept his eyes on the road, hands steady on the wheel. "Because being your dad is more important than being a hero. But you taught me that sometimes being your dad means standing up." Lily smiled, looked out the window. They pulled into their spot behind the building, climbed the stairs, unlocked the door. Home. Marcus made dinner, spaghetti. Lily set the table. 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 glasses of water. Normal evening, normal life. After dinner, Lily did homework. Math problems. Marcus helped when she asked. Otherwise, let her work. They watched a movie, something animated. Lily laughed at the jokes, leaned against Marcus's shoulder. She fell asleep 20 minutes before the end. Marcus carried her to her room, tucked her in, pulled the yellow blanket to her chin, kissed her forehead. "Love you, sweetheart." He turned on her nightlight, the one shaped like a moon. Then he went to the living room, sat on the couch. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic. He looked at Sarah's photo on the side table. Her smile, her eyes. Opened the drawer beneath it. Inside, the Meritorious Service Medal. Briggs had pinned it to his chest 6 months ago. Marcus had put it here, not on display, just kept. A reminder, not of what he'd been, but of what Lily taught him he could still be. He closed the drawer, stood, walked to Lily's room, opened the door a crack. She was sleeping, peaceful, safe. The nightlight casting soft shadows across her face. Marcus watched her breathe, just like he'd done 100 times before. 1,000, but different now. Because he wasn't hiding anymore. Wasn't pretending the past didn't exist. Wasn't afraid of who he'd been. He was Marcus Webb, father, former combat medic, trainer, survivor. All of it. At once. He turned off the nightlight. Left the door cracked, the way she liked it. Went to his own room, lay down, closed his eyes. Tomorrow he'd wake at 6. Make Lily dinosaur pancakes. Help her with her spelling words. Take her to school. Go to the training facility. Teach officers how to save lives. Small life. Humble. Quiet. But no longer invisible. And that was enough.